Here we go, Sherry. We are doing this. Happy Tuesday. Happy Momentum Tuesday, LifeVantage Activation Nation. We are so excited to be with you here today. The cool thing about January, I understand that for a lot of us, January feels like it's 52 years long. And it can feel that way. But when it comes to network marketing to LifeVantage, how many of you are grateful that we have a full last week of the month? Put a 1 in the chat if you are grateful that we have a Monday through Friday with us to close out this month strong. You know, this is just incredible to be here. I am so excited that we have Sherry Martin on here with us to lead us through training to speak from her heart. You guys, she has been there, done that. And I'm so excited when the time comes to turn it over to her to let her talk about her journey here with LifeVantage. It's really, really incredible. So really quick, my name is Ashlyn Whitaker. I am one of your sales directors here in the US market. Proper disclosures, results will vary. A lot of hard work, time, and dedication goes into building a successful LifeVantage business, and you are going to hear a success story later on. Wanted to talk to you really quick. You guys, we are in our drive era right now. This was announced at our global virtual that we are now in our drive era. Don't let that freak you out. It is the same behaviors as our rise era, focusing on the ERA, enroll, retain, and advance. So we just had our global virtual kickoff a couple weeks ago, I guess 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. We announced our theme for the year, which is Drive. Evolve will be launching in our phase 3 markets starting March 1st, and then we'll continue for several weeks after that. And then everyone will be on the new Evolve compensation plan, which will be so, so amazing. You guys, right now we have our Breakfast at Tiffany's incentive. So for those who earn 25 Drive Era tracks, you will be able to go to a once-in-a-lifetime Breakfast at Tiffany's here in Salt Lake City, Utah during Global Convention. How to qualify for the Breakfast at Tiffany's: rank advance to any new executive rank, January through March, or achieve 25 Drive Era tracks, January through March. So those are the ways, pretty simple. And we are so excited to experience this once in a lifetime experience. How many times can I say experience with all of you? Driver's Lounge. Here is another thing that you can earn at Global Convention. So for anyone who earns 18 tracks, Drive Era tracks or more, you receive access to our Driver's Lounge at our Global Convention happening in April in Salt Lake City, Utah. Just as a reminder, we have our 4 weeks of wellness continuing in our LifeVantage Instagram account. If you are not following LifeVantage on Instagram, do so. They are doing 4 weeks of wellness. You've got giveaways, healthy recipes, nutrition and wellness tips. You don't want to miss it. So make sure that you are following LifeVantage on Instagram. You guys, we are still very, very much in our Alaskan cruise incentive trip qualification period. Qualification period ends March 31st. Participating markets for this Alaskan cruise is the US, Mexico, Canada, and Europe. As a quick reminder, the basics of the incentive trip you can see on your screen now. You can also go to hub.lifevantage.com and it will give you a full rundown of how you can earn this Alaskan cruise. You guys, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It is going to be incredible. The Northern Lights, the whale watching, all of the things. Make sure, in addition to earning a minimum of 300 points, you need to complete at least 3 retain tracks and 3 enroll tracks. Now, the cool thing is when you earn these tracks, not only does that help you earn the Alaskan cruise, those same tracks will put you in the running for the Driver's Lounge and maybe even the Breakfast at Tiffany's incentive. So stack upon stack upon stack. Upcoming events, wanted to run through this really quick. Our incredible South Africa trip is happening for so many of you in February. Global Convention is happening April 24th through the 26th. And then we tacked on our next growth summit that will be April 27th through 28th, our virtual Activate event happening July 12th. And then for our other markets, they have an incentive trip to Vietnam. And then the US, Mexico, Canada, and Europe incentive trip for Alaska is happening in August. And then we have in the US market, our Momentum Academy happening in October. Race into the future, you guys. So much jam-packed into this year. Global convention, again, make sure you are registering for that event. I don't want to bring this up, but Market Connect, Sherry, I know you remember, you guys, we sold out. We had Market Connect to Kansas City tickets like on the black market. You know, how can you get to this event? Don't let it happen again. Register early. Make sure your team is registered early. Get there. Do not procrastinate. Here's a high-level agenda for our global convention. This information is also on hub.lifevantage.com. March is the final month of recognition qualification for convention. So if you are eager to walk across that stage as a brand new MC1 or EC1 or SC3, whatever it is, make sure you are attaining that by March 31st in order to be recognized at our April Global Convention. Growth Summit qualification period for our September Growth Summit has started now. January 1st is our Growth Summit qualification period through June 30th. So that Growth Summit will be happening in Salt Lake City, Utah, September 12th through the 14th. So if you are in the running for that, make sure to mark that on your calendars. And then just as a reminder, all of our resources, assets for our new mind-body system can be found at hub.lifevantage.com/mindbody-resources. All right, we got housekeeping out of the way. It is now my privilege to introduce our guest speaker. This is Sherry Martin. She is a new Executive Consultant 1 as of October. Sherry has been with LifeVantage for 8 years, and she lives in South Florida and has spent most of her working life making a living that she didn't have a life. She has been in the lending industry for over 23 years. Fast forward to now, LifeVantage is it. She is here with LifeVantage. This is what she does full time, is sharing our products, sharing wellness, sharing the message of activation. And she is the mother of 3 adult children and Yaya to her 4.5-year-old granddaughter. She is a former U.S. Army veteran who loves to elevate, empower, motivate, and support other people who have the same vision and goals as she does. She likes to say that she is a hope dealer, and I love that. And really quick, Sherry, before I turn it over to you, I wanted to include, this is her why. This is why she eats, breathes, sleeps LifeVantage. It is why it is her passion. You have her full family here, and then that darling 4.5-year-old granddaughter right there on your screen. So wanted to share that beautiful family, Sherry.
Oh, thank you.
So I will turn the time over to you.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. Oh my goodness, 67 people. Thank you, first of all, for spending a few minutes with us today. When Ashlyn asked me to share, kind of my success earning EC1 with this mind body, I thought, okay, I'm going to kind of go back to how I heard about it and bring you kind of through the journey, because I am what you call a slow burn. I did not bring a team. I really didn't have much experience in this industry. So I'm going to share my story, and then I'm just going to kind of take you on a little journey with me. And I'm going to leave some tips and tricks for you as well. So I'm going to get started. So as Ashlyn mentioned to you, I celebrated 8 years January of this month. So when I found out about LifeVantage, it was at a time in my life where I was very sad and I was very broken. I wasn't broke financially, but my spirit was broken. I was taking and dependent on 12 pharmaceuticals and 4 opiates that were prescribed by my doctor while I was serving in the United States Army. So if we have any veterans in the room, thank you so much for your service from this better into you. Um, so my background is mortgages. I've spent my entire life making a living that I didn't have a life. And one thing I've learned while I've been in the mortgage business, which has been my only job for 25 years prior to like LifeVantage, it didn't matter how much money I was making or all the fancy cars I was driving and how cute my kids looked if my quality of life was poor. So, about a decade ago, I actually experienced a horrific side effect from all of those pharmaceuticals. And I was Drew Barrymore from 50 First Dates. I had lost my short term memory, and that was something that I would not put on anyone. And as a mortgage broker, trying to meet with my clients, right? They're investing in one of the largest investments of their lives, and I couldn't remember their story a week ago. So I took it upon myself and I made a decision that first off, I needed to take control of my health. So 4 months of being activated, experiencing the power of activation, right? 4 months later, I weaned myself from all the pharmaceuticals, the opiates, everything I was taking. And it's been 8 years. And I think if I've had Advil 2 or 3 times, it's a lot. Um, but I want to just share this, not everybody has a crazy story like that, and that's okay. You can borrow someone else's story. You don't have to have this crazy story. But I know for me, I did enroll the first 4 years of my business with LifeVantage, some consultants like my sister, and she's a glorified customer. I love her to pieces. She supports me, but she really wasn't building the business, right? So I want to kind of take you back to COVID of 2020. So the first 4 years of this business, ladies and gentlemen, I was just kind of dabbling, really wasn't working the business. And in 2020, when COVID hit, my industry that I was in, I was actually doing non-QM loans. People were getting fired, they were getting laid off, and I happened to be one of them. And so it was July, and I thought, okay, Sherry, now it's time to put your big girl panties on and treat this business like a business. So when I started that, I started building the business. I was an SC2. $3,500 in group sales volume. My income, $700 a month. So there's probably quite a few of you that are right there right now. So this is going to be really exciting because I'm going to give you exactly what I did to get to EC1. So when I was asked to share this, as I mentioned to you, I thought, how could I add value to this call or Zoom? What can I leave you guys with today that you can truly start implementing, which is what I'm going to do with you now. So I had no idea, by the way, that this mind body was coming out in 2020. I didn't know that. I just know that we're always coming out with something, and I wanted to be prepared. So this is how I prepared for that. So I actually started in June of 2020. So I started reaching out to people that were on social media because we were all banned in our homes, right? Nobody was going out, nobody was doing anything. And I found people that were like me, people that were actually giving back to the community, offering services. And I found a friend of mine from high school. And I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I have something I think you'd be interested in. And we reconnected. And I was investing, in building this business, but I wasn't serious until then. So what I did was I locked arms with this amazing person that Gina introduced me to. I didn't know her prior to the business. Her name is Suzanne. She truly is like one of my best friends now, which I love that about this business. But I reached out to her and I found one person that said, I'll do this with you. So I said, okay, girl, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to drive down. She's an hour away from me. So I was going to drive down every single Wednesday, an hour there, an hour back. I spent 2 to 3 hours there with her. And we didn't sit on the couch and watch Netflix. We weren't out shopping. We were working this business. So she was bringing people to her house. We were doing lunch and learns. I don't care if one person showed, it was somebody. We would go out in the community and we would set appointments, but really the team, because in the beginning we didn't have a lot of people, right? It was just Suzanne and I, and Crystal and a couple other girls started to come over, and we built a community where we can lean on one another. And when we got frustrated, we could talk about it, right? So I could not surpass the rank of, I think it was managing consultant two. Yeah, managing consultant two. I was between $2,200 and $3,000 a month. We're building. Suzanne was killing it. Her team was killing it, but I was so unbalanced. So I'm like calling Christy Vogt and I'm like, girl, I don't know what I'm going to do. And she's like, we need to go find someone new. Well, I was nervous because again, I'm like, now I got to start again and build the business. So here's what I did. This is so exciting. I don't believe that anyone's lucky. I believe that luck is when you're prepared and opportunity meets. So December of 2023, I went on Facebook and I thought, how can I get out there and get my face in front of people? So I started looking for networking events in my community. And the first one I went to was an evening one. And I was like, I didn't really want to go out at night. As a matter of fact, it was raining that night. I could have had 1,000 excuses, but that one decision for me to get out of my house, out of my comfort zone, and go to that darn event that night, you guys, that led me to where I'm at today. So I met one person. I connected with one person that I liked. I connected with her energy. And I asked her, so what else do you have that you do? And she introduced me to another networking group. And I started going to all of these networking groups from meeting people, very similar to us building LifeVantage, right? We build from event to event. I was building my LifeVantage business from a networking event to a networking event. And so from December 22nd to December 23rd, you guys, my business increased 30% just because I made the decision to start getting out there and doing something different. So how did I, how did this work? I guess attending the networking events. Some of them were an hour long, some of them were 2.5 hours long, but it was my business, right? I'm doing this full time. So I would wake up every day and I would start my day as if I was going to a brick and mortar and I was going to turn my on sign, right? My on sign was on. So then December, so here we go, guys. I'm just taking you back a year now. So we're all here together, December of 2023. I met this amazing lady. Her name is Holly. I was introduced to Holly from somebody I met at a networking event 6 months ago. She called me up and she said, hey, Sherry, what are you doing tomorrow? And I was like, or I think it was 2 days later. And I was like, it was a Saturday, right? Again, I could have done anything I wanted to. And I said, well, I have an opening. And she said, I have a friend who's going to be doing an event and I'd love for you to come. And I said, well, what do I need to do? And she said, just show up on the Zoom tonight. And there was like 7 of us on the Zoom and nobody wanted to do it. I did not know Holly. And Holly and I were like, well, we're going to do it. And the people that show are the people that need to be there. It was like a week before Christmas. We had 40 people that came, but here's the best part about that. Over the next few weeks, I started building a relationship with Holly. And at first, she was poo-pooing on LifeVantage. And I like to say, we don't call anyone's baby ugly. I'm not going to tell her her products are terrible or her company isn't good. I just led by example. I showed up every time I met her. I had my Axio. I was excited. And she's like, girl, what are you doing? I'm like, it's the power of activation. I said, I don't know what you're doing, but I know I have 30 studies on PubMed.gov. I know that these products are backed by science, and I just kind of shared things with her. And within a few weeks, she partnered with me. And this is kind of how I prepared for this launch. So I locked arms with Holly and we would meet twice a week. I would jump in her car and she would make appointments, by the way. You've got to give consultants a job, right? A little thing to do so that if you give them the whole picture, that's like trying to tell someone in kindergarten everything you're going to go through to graduate high school. They're going to be so overwhelmed. They're not going to know how to even like take a test because they're in kindergarten. And now we're going to have to, it just doesn't work. So we have to treat our business, in my opinion, like our high school years, our elementary, and then we're in junior high and then we're in high school because it prepares us. It's about the journey, right? We learn from our mistakes and I would never be where I'm at today if I didn't get fired from my job, if I didn't have to think outside the box, if I didn't do things that I really necessarily didn't want to do. I could have done something different, but I chose to do that because I chose this as a career. I chose it as a business. So that's what Holly and I did. And the one thing I will share with you is the first 30 days, when you bring on a new consultant, remember they're in kindergarten. They're scared. They don't know what to do. Voice messages. I would leave my girls, or, mostly I have women, but I would leave them a voice message. Hey girl, good morning. So what do you got going on today? This is what I'm doing. I'm available between this time and this time. Let's connect. And sure enough, within about a week, Holly's leaving me voice messages. She's like, I love this voice message thing. And we're building a bond and a relationship, right? So here's the key to the networking events. So if you're out there and you're like, gosh, I've gone through my warm market, I'm not really sure what I need to do, I'm going to tell you this, okay? Join an event, but it's not about showing up for the lunch and paying $22. This is what I did. I made a goal that every time I went to a networking event, within 24 hours, I had scheduled 1 to 2 one-on-ones, because nobody can really know what I'm doing in 30 seconds. I needed to get them to like me and trust me. So I want to share with you what I would say when I would meet them. Okay. So here I am. I'm going on my one-on-one. I don't know these people from Adam. And this is what I would say to them. I feel like, and I can't remember one of the webinars I was on with LifeVantage. I don't remember which one of our physicians that said this, but it's like malpractice. You don't go to a doctor and you walk in the door and he starts prescribing you all kinds of things without asking you what's going on, right? In order to know where people want to go, we have to know where they're at and where they're coming from. When you are driving to your friends and you've been there before, your GPS isn't working and you are lost, and you call your friend, what do they say to you? Where exactly are you? Right? So we have to find out where they're at so that we have permission to share it, because I promise you, if you don't, they're not going to be open to receiving it. Okay, so here's what I would say. I would say, I would sit down. I would always let them speak to me first. I would never talk first, ever, because I'm listening so that as I share, I can go back to the things that they were saying. So I would say to them, Holly, if you could change anything about your health or your life right now, what would that be? What is keeping you up at night? I would let them answer. And then I would come back and I would say, can you think about a time in your life where you felt your best? You looked great, you felt good, and you weren't having to supplement your body. You weren't having to take hormones. You weren't having to take tornadoes of supplements, because God made our bodies to heal all by themselves. We are not meant to put a bunch of things in our bodies, but when you trick your body to do those things, it's going to create the side effects. So I'd ask them that question. And you know what everyone said to me? Ooh, God, probably my 20s or my 30s. Well, we know that we have the science behind Protandim. After 120 days, they can't differentiate the oxidative stress in the cell of an 80-year-old and that of a 20-year-old. So when they say that to me, I put that in my memory bank. And when I share Protandim, I'm going to say, hey, remember when you said you felt your best when you were in your 20s and your 30s? And then I now have permission to share these products. So the next thing I would do, so the next thing I found the solution is once I did that, I had their attention, right? Now I'm able to tell them how we're addressing the root cause. So now we're going to fast forward to our Mind Body launch in October. So here we are in October, so I can wrap up the call. And about 6 weeks prior to the launch, Tara Wilson had reached out to our team and she said, hey, I'm thinking about purchasing or getting all of these. Can you sell 7 pre-orders? Collect the money, and then you're going to bring them back. So of course I'm like, of course. So what did I do? I immediately went on Facebook. I don't do a lot of Facebook lives, but I did some stories. I had pre-recorded a couple things. And then I started reaching out to my friends who were complaining about the synthetic GLP-1, who were complaining about wanting to lose weight. And I just I just said, hey, I've got something I think that you would be interested in. I didn't get 7, I got 14. So because because I was truly digging the well for a few years, it was like shooting fish in a barrel. So for me, but if you are here on this Zoom today, and maybe you weren't prepared for this launch, maybe you were like, dang, I wish I would have done this, right? I do have a system like a project broadcast I talk about. That's kind of a drip campaign I use, because if you're only reaching out to your friends and your family when you have to sell something, they're not going to want to talk to you, because they're just thinking you're trying to sell them something, which you kind of are. I mean, I'm just being real. You're not building that relationship. So I was, reaching out to them before I even got back from Kansas, sending them before and after pictures, being top of mind with them so they didn't forget, because people get buyer's remorse, right? Or something happens, I don't know, their child gets sick and now everything they wanted to do is out the window. So I wanted to make sure I was the person that was motivating them and getting them excited so that when we were ready to do it, they were still on. So Kansas City comes, everybody's getting their orders. Now we're on back order. Well, what did I do? I called everybody and reset expectations. In this business, things change, right? We're always resetting the expectations. Hey guys, guess what? We ran out of product in 9 days or 10 days because it works. So here's what we're going to do, and I would just coach them through it, whatever. I'm on all the Zooms, I'm on all the calls so I can get educated, so that I can now educate my people. So we got through that hurdle. And the recent thing that I've been doing is over the next 2 months, which would be November and December, I continued reaching out. I continued, putting them in the private Facebook groups. Those that got frustrated, because believe me, I had quite a few that returned product. They canceled their order. So I gave them a few days and I circled back around and I said, listen, you trust me. I apologize that this happened, but let's relaunch. Let's get you on, when we were on back order, I put people on collagen and Nerf too. I put them on something so they weren't getting annoyed with the fact that they didn't have this product. So I would encourage you, if you're having issues with the mind body, don't forget that we have all these other products, right? We have the collagen, we have the Nerf 2 and the Axio, and really figure out where it is that they're at. So persistence, consistency is the key, right? If you're not where you want to be in your business, I'm going to tell you to take a look in the mirror and look inward, because you're probably in the wrong role. I'm going to say that again. Look in the mirror, own what you've done and where you're at. You're in the wrong role. And what do I mean by that? When you're not building this business in an authentic way, like being authentic to yourself, it's not going to build. So if you are not somebody that is a social media person, then building the business on social media is probably not going to be your biggest return on your investment. I know for me, it wasn't. So I had to get out and get in front of people. So figure out what you're doing. And if it's not feeling good to you, then you're not building it the right way. So that is really what I've done to kind of get me where I'm at today. I didn't start thinking about how I'm going to launch. This is crazy, and then I'm going to turn it over to you, Ashlyn. When we launched Mind Body, I couldn't get over 60,000 in my group sales volume. I was making around $5,200, $5,800 a month. It's been my full-time job, you guys. I have not wanted to go work for anyone else, right? I wanted to build this legacy for me. Within 9 days, I went from 60,000 in group sales volume to 110. My paycheck was $9,700. And do you know what I did with that? I did not buy a new car. I did not go on a shopping spree. I went to each one of my 3 children and I said, my daughter was going to be a surrogate. And I said, why are you doing that, sweetheart? She has her little daughter. She said, Mom, I can't do real estate. I'm a single mom. I'm stressed out and I'm barely, I was barely making ends meet. I could not continue to just keep giving my kids money and all of the things. So I was listening to Mel Robbins' Let Them, by the way, just a little plug if you haven't been listening to it, and then Let Me. So I had to learn to let my children fall down and fail. But when I hit this rank, you know what I did? I
Hmm.
contacted my daughter and I said, I'm putting you through nursing school. That's what I did with the money. So I just say that we don't know what the future holds, but we got to wake up every day and build the business. Because if your mouth is not open, your business is closed. So thank you so much.
Sherry, it honestly, it's hard to close up after that. Thank you so much for
Oh,
sharing. Um, you know, the blessing that you are passing on to your family and in turn their family by doing what you're doing is incredible. Something that spoke to me as you were talking, I don't know if any of you have seen the new Disney movie Mufasa. But in the movie, Rafiki is, the knowledgeable shaman, so to speak, right? He's always giving this powerful advice. And in the movie, he says, if you want to go fast, go alone. There's the road. If you want to go far, we go together. And I really, really loved that. And it's a whole song about it. But as you were talking, that kept coming back to me. If you want to go far, we go together. And as you were explaining, your journey and your experience with LifeVantage, it was when you locked arms with others and said, let's go together,
yes.
that the result has taken you far. And so, thank you for that. I think what you are sharing is so applicable to so many people on here. I mean, you spent 4 years at SC2, and then you spent what, 3 years or so at MC2. So I
Yes.
love what you shared. It is so
Mhm.
relatable. Thank you for sharing from your heart. Thank you for helping us as we are closing up this month of January. You guys, we still basically have what, 28, 29, 30, 4 full days. 4 full days. You
Mhm.
have got this. Happy Tuesday. Thanks for being with us. Thank you, Sherry, so much. And we'll see you all soon.